coffee's upstairs, and I want it. But I will go get it later. All right. So it looks like we're going to break up the rest of chapter 26 into 3 sections. And just because they chunk really well, unless I get stopped short. So that said, as you log in, say hey, because I'm saying hey to you right now. And we will dive through this together. So it says in verse 12 of chapter 26, while thus occupied as I journeyed to Damascus. So he's going to give he's telling his conversion story again. With authority and commission from the chief priests. At midday, O king, along the road I saw a light from heaven, brighter than the sun, shining around me and those who journeyed with me. And when we had fallen to the ground, I heard a voice speaking to me, saying in the Hebrew language, Saul, Saul, why are you persecuting me? It is hard for you to kick against the goads. So I said, Who are you, Lord? And he said, I am Jesus, before whom you are persecuting. But rise and stand on your feet, for I have appeared to you for this purpose, to make you a minister and a witness, both of the things which you have seen and the things which I will yet reveal to you. I will deliver you from the Jewish people, as well as from the Gentiles, to whom I now send you, to open their eyes, in order to turn them from darkness to light, from the power of Satan to God, that they might receive forgiveness of sins and an inheritance among those who are sanctified by faith in me. So there's a couple things, mostly reminder, but probably something that we all always just need that reminder of. And firstly, we talked before about how when Paul was given his instructions, it's not like God just unfolded this whole plan for him. He says in verse 16, it's both of the things which you have seen and of the things which I will yet reveal to you. And that's just a good reminder, is that much of what we've got set before us is stuff that God has yet to reveal. We don't really know what's coming next. I mean, we know the stuff that he has said, but in our own lives, in our ministry, in our relationships, in God's plan for us, we don't know all what's coming. And so it makes it confusing at times. It makes it difficult because I don't know exactly what's, in the future. But we can trust that an unknown future is in the hands of a known God. That's the idea, is that I don't know what tomorrow holds, but I know who holds tomorrow. And so we can trust that God's got a plan and that he'll reveal it to us when it's a good idea to reveal to us. Because sometimes, maybe if we knew the ultimate plan, we would run away screaming, right? I mean, maybe that's the thing, is sometimes, I don't know, God has a mission or a plan, but the man I am today is not the man who's ready to hear such a thing. I'm not the person who's ready for this plan. I'm not ready, to receive what God would want to do. But in time, maybe I will be ready. And so God knows he's not going to reveal the whole plan to me until he prepares the man for the mission that he has set before him. But all along the way, I'll usually be fighting. And that's, if you back up to verse 14, it is hard for you to kick against the goads. And that's just kind of funny to imagine Jesus saying that to Paul. So the goad, right? That is like what a farmer would use. And it was a pointy stick. It was just a pointy stick. Some would have a hook on it so that you could poke your animals, like the ox, right, to go forward. And the ones with the hook have a little hook that you can kind of yank on it to kind of tug it one way or tug it the other way. But it was used to direct an animal. As we all know, Shamgar, the third judge, he killed 600 Philistines with an ox goad. But, the point is that these goads, they were used to direct an animal and put it in the direction it's supposed to be going. But obviously an ox, like you and me, sometimes we don't like what God is doing in our life. Sometimes we reject, like, I don't like what's going on. And so I start kicking back. And maybe you've been in that place, or maybe you're in that place right now, or maybe God's trying to get your attention. God is putting things in your life to get the gears turning, get you thinking. But right off the bat, we don't just go, that's God speaking. Yes, I want to obey and do what God says. No, quite often we kick against the goad. He's poking, and we start kicking back. Now, I'm going to tell you what, when you kick a pointed object, it hurts. It hurts to kick back. And that's the whole idea, is that God had already been poking at Paul the apostle. Well, God had been poking at Saul of Tarsus. And Saul of Tarsus is going to become a new man. Saul of Tarsus, persecutor of the Jews, hated Christians, hated all things Christianity, becomes Paul the apostle, writer of half the New Testament. And it's all because God started poking. It was little things, little irritations, little things that started to catch his attention that didn't used to catch his attention. And it was God speaking to him like, hey, I'm talking here. I'm just trying to get your attention. And eventually, God met with him on the road to Damascus, knocks him off his horse. The whole idea is just that, boom, he had this experience. But when that experience came, he was ready to say, Lord, who are you and what do you want? Why? Because he'd been poking at him all that time. It's all those little pokes that were kind of getting him ready. And sometimes we find great drought before great revival. We find that God will allow us to go into a season of just crappiness because it's in those times where we're actually desperate and willing to listen, willing to change. When everything's going all right, we could live in our pathetic all right existence for the rest of our lives, but sometimes things get rough. And then we're actually willing to change. Like, okay, this woke me up. Sometimes it takes a heart attack before people realize they need to change their diet, right? Well, sometimes it takes spiritual and emotional destitution before finally we make those changes we need. And maybe when he stops us and finally gets our attention, he'll maybe ask us the same thing. It was hard kicking against the goads, wasn't it? That was kind of rough. But eventually he gets our attention, and he gets our hearts, and he gets our obedience. And it's at that time God starts doing amazing things with us. And that's what we all want to see. So hopefully you aren't kicking against the goads too hard. And hopefully you're hanging in there as God reveals his plan. I mean, that's the idea, is that little by little, God will start revealing to you, why did you let all this happen? Why did I go down this crazy road? Why did all these things go on in my life? And I look at some of the stuff that happened with me, and praise God, like I got my life straightened out much earlier than many people. But I was able to make quite a few mistakes along the way. And so God starts revealing things to you. Well, I needed someone, and I needed someone with certain experiences to accomplish the task that I wanted to put before them. And you're the woman for the job. You're the man for the job. You're the one I'm looking for. And yep, I've been preparing you for the things I'm setting before you, and I've been poking at you, trying to get your attention to keep you on the track. And so let's not kick too hard, and let's be listening and ready for when God reveals what it is he wants to do in us and through us. God bless you guys. Next week, Monday and Tuesday, I'm going to finish up this chapter. In the next two sections, I have some great stuff in it. The third section, I guess, will be Tuesday. Probably some of my favorite stuff. So, take care, and I'll see you guys then. Oh, yeah, and shout out, go to church. It's church tomorrow. Find a church if you need one. I can recommend one. Doesn't matter where you live. I know someone who has a church near you. So, you guys take care.